Alright guys, welcome to tonight's live. We're going live right now. I'm streaming live right now from Barcelona, Spain, so my microphone should be a little bit different. I'm also a little bit nasally as well. I'm doing a couple trips here throughout Europe, throughout the cities. So pretty much on vacation, but I still don't want to miss the opportunity to have this live with you guys. I want to also keep you updated with the market. The market's moving pretty crazy these past few weeks. If you've been into crypto too, like the crypto market's going wild. That shit just hit 72k Bitcoin all-time high. It's nuts. Like all the markets are rallying. Like it's a crazy time. It's really good. The economy is doing very well in regards to like the actual like stocks are rallying, like futures are rallying, crypto's rallying. The economy as a whole, not so much. Still a lot of inflation, but we're seeing a lot of like positive movement. So hopefully, like throughout the course of this year, we keep seeing more of that. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the rest of the year. This is really good stuff that's happening. We're gonna go live right now with NASDAQ charts. I will not be going over the red folder news, as I do not have an easy way to cycle through the screens here actually. So I'll definitely recommend checking out Forex Factory. Those are the news that I have. Like I said, I don't have my multiple monitor set up here because it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to actually go over the red folder news, but I'm going to read it out to you from my screen. So this coming week, we have Sunday, which is tonight. We have nothing red folder news for us. Monday, we do have one red folder news. That's going to be CNY, and that's going to be the industrial production year over year. Tuesday, we do have a few red folder news. That's going to be JPY, AUD, JPY again, a little bit later on. We actually have two JPYs and one orange JPY. A couple of AUD, which are 3 total. Then you also have CAD, Canadian. Going into Wednesday, you have GBP, that's a red folder. Thursday, you have AUD twice, followed by Euro, followed by CHF, Euro again. These are all red folder news, by the way. Thursday is looking crazy for red folder news. Followed by GBP, followed by USD 3 times. Then Friday, you only have GBP, Euro, and USD. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the charts. Right now, what you see on my screen is the NASDAQ futures chart. We do have marked out over here the all-time high. All-time high was 18,690.50, right? 0.5. We're looking at this on the daily. We do have an area that's marked out here. We marked this out on the previous lives. We have a 4-hour fair value gap 50% over here at the 0.5 mark. We usually use 0.62, 0.705, and 0.79 as our areas of entry. These are called OTEs, optimal trade entries, right? So these are pretty much like your discount zones. Anything below like the 0.5, it's your extreme discounts, and anything above it is your extreme premium. What this means is, if you're looking at a chart and you draw some fibs, right? Let's say we're drawing from here, the bottom of this wick, to the top of this wick. You're looking for a retracement. And it looks something like this. This entire area up here, it's your premium area. This entire area down here, that's your discount area. So when price action comes and retests in this area, you're looking for longs. When price action retests this area, you're looking for shorts. It's pretty much just saying like, hey, this is pretty much out of gas. We need to go back down before we can keep going. Continuation to the upside. It needs to get liquidity. So by this logic, this retracement here, top of it is this 4-hour, did exactly that on the lower time frame. But on a higher time frame, we still have this one over here. It's 4-hour for value at 50% mark, and then it also overlaps with our optimal trade entry, which is a 0.705. Whenever you have anything that overlaps within the 0.62, 705, or the 79 over a PD rate, such as an order block or a fair value gap, that should give you a little bit more confidence into going into that trade. And then especially if you're trading with the trend, right? Our trend right now, as you can see, is very heavily bullish. We're going into a bullish position, right? That's a bullish fair value gap. It's inside a fair value gap here that's sitting above an order block, right? So the fair value gap is sitting above an order block. So that gives us a little bit, it gives it additional confidence. That's like the safety blanket. That's like something for it to like bounce off of and then continue up. And on top of that, it's in a discount zone, extreme discount zone here, which gives us a third confluence. So this is the area we're looking at right now. Since we already tapped into this area here, the 18,004.25, we've already tapped into that. So on the lower time frame, if you were able to get into that, you would have gotten a really nice risk to reward on that. Now, as you can see over here as well, if you're using EZAlgo SMC, Smart Money Concepts, you're gonna see that this area here, you have an MSS, meaning market structure shift, meaning change of trend, right? So we're looking for shorts here. Why? Because this break of structure here now is seeking something down here. What it is seeking, in theory, it's going to be this fair value gap down here because it's seeking extreme discount and then continuation of the trend. That's what we're looking for, right? In a perfect world. And then continuation to the upside, retest the all-time high, and then we'll see how the price action is when it gets there. Anything beyond that is just strictly speculation. I can't tell you it's going to break the all-time high, continue rallying. Who knows? But in theory, it should come down here, collect some liquidity, bounce off this fair value gap and order block. These both are a confluence added onto each other. That liquidity that's provided will cause this price action to come right back up, possibly test the all-time high, maybe not, maybe it'll die out before then. And then after that, once we see how the price action reacts into this area here, we'll be able to determine, like, moving forward what it really wants to do. But for now, that's what it's looking like on the daily. We have a daily fair value gap over here as well. Make sure you set your alerts. These are areas that are points of interest, and you should definitely look into these areas and play them out on the lower time frames, right? This area here is 17,299.25. There's a couple areas below that as well. But before we get to the rest of those out there, this area here, don't forget to set an alert for this one. 17,854.50. And then this area here that's already playing out, that's 18,004.25. So for now, I'm gonna remove this area. Or actually, let me show you this area here on the lower time frame. And then I'll remove it because it's been mitigated. Because it's already been tapped into, and then that's no longer a zone that it's gonna hold off with. Let me just remove this here. Clean this up a little bit. Let's go down into the 4 hour. So as you can see here on the 4 hour, this is 0.5. But I don't really trade off the 0.5. It's just more there, so I can show you like extreme premium, extreme discount zones. But let's remove it for now. So this 4 hour fair value at 50% mark, it was tapped into over here on Friday, March 24th, and then shot right back up. Look how crazy that is. So like if you were to play this out on a lower time frame, this is what it would look like. You're looking for an entry into here. At this point right here, it's pretty much to the pit, right? So it's like a few dollars off. This is 18,003.25. And then that wick is like right above it at $2. Some of these brokers have spreads of like up to $10. So that would have tapped you in for sure. If you're looking for an entry in like at 15 minutes, oh, it would have been solid for you. Look at that. But it's choppy as hell. Now we're looking at 5 minutes. Let's check it out. What we're looking for is a fair value gap after a market structure shift. This area here is a fair value gap. This gap here. And then you would set your stop loss to the bottom of the candle previous to the fair value gap. So this over here, you would target 2 to 1. Right? Target 2 to 1. Did it hit? No, it didn't hit. Yeah, it's a choppy mess. Here's another fair value gap over here too. Could have probably gotten into this one. But yeah, it's super choppy. There's a fair value gap here, but this would have gotten stopped out. Yeah, this would have been really hard to play unless you just got in with no stop loss and you just entered here and then set your stop loss to the previous candle. But even then, yeah, it's pretty choppy. So I mean, there was no really like proper entry for getting into this position, unless maybe you got into like the 1 minute, which I would never recommend anybody, especially beginner traders, to trade on the 1 minute. Just look at that. That looks pretty crazy. But then right there, that's the fair value gap. That right there, this is the market structure shift. That's the fair value gap. That's the entry right here. And then that's an easy 2 to 1 right there. That would have been done within like an hour. But yeah, definitely don't trade the 1 minute. If you don't see a point of entry in the 5 or 15 minute, then whatever it is, what it is, move on to the next day. Just look for those points of interest for you. Now, 4 hours. Let's see. We do see like a slight retracement. So because we're getting some slight retracements, we are expecting some bearish fair value gaps. Over here, you can see this one was already mitigated. This was Friday, the 8th of March. This has already gotten tapped into, and it's been respecting that beautifully. So look at that. It never broke through this candle structure here. It tapped into it and then rejected off it. Closed above it, but went right back down. And then by shooting down with the bearish price action, caused another fair value gap over here, tapped into this fair value gap almost perfectly at the 50% mark, and a continuation to the downside. Remember, higher time frame, we are extremely bullish, but we're looking for a retracement in order to continue the trend upwards. So this could be our 2 entries for that retracement. Tap into here, ping pong off here, dump into the next level, and then shoot back up. Right? We'll play by structure, and we'll see how that works out. This fair value gap over here, we're gonna mark, gonna label, we're gonna set our alerts, and we're gonna monitor that. We're gonna color this red too. Both of these are gonna be colored red. Honestly, for me, this one's gonna hold a lot more weight. So that's the one I'm definitely going to be looking at more. But we have to make sure that we're taking everything into account. So both of these are 4-hour fair value gaps. I'm going to label them as so. They're both 4-hour fair value gaps. And we're going to set alerts. Remember to set your alerts on this one. The broker charts might be a little bit different. Take that into account. I'm looking at right now the mini futures charts, live from the actual futures charts. You might be looking at some NAS futures charts from a different broker. Just take that into account, okay? But for now, we're setting this alert at 18,357.50. And this one, we're going to set an alert at 18,192.25. Do we see anything else? No, we do not. We have this that's been tapped into. We're monitoring this. We're going to remove this for now. We're going to remove it's already been tapped and mitigated. We're focused on this one over here, 17854.50. That's the one that I was really aiming for. That's the one I was really focusing in on. And then besides that, we do have a couple lower here. I don't want to like confuse you too much. So remember this daily fair value gap, 50%, 17,300. Four-hour fair value gap, it's 50%, 17,137.50. Daily fair value gap, 17,045. 4-hour fair value gap, 50% mark, 16,917.75. Now for NAS, does anybody have any questions for me? Let me get a thumbs up in the Discord if you have no questions for me. We're gonna move on to the next pair. It's gonna be gold. Awesome, let's go. Make sure you guys are setting your alerts to these, okay? This next pair we're going to go over is gold. This is the weekly chart. So you can see we are extremely bullish. Just like everything else in the market, everything's rallying like really hard, which is awesome to see. Like, I love that. It means like there's a lot of money flowing through the market, and we need that. We definitely need that. So it doesn't take too much technical analysis to tell you guys this is very bullish. This is going to continue being bullish. We have two fair value gaps here. This one's beautiful. This is a weekly one, so we're gonna actually mark this one as well. We're gonna actually move that to here. This is my new alert, 2098. Excuse me, 2119.12. We're gonna mark this area out and we're gonna label it. This is a weekly area, but this has a lot of weight to it. We're gonna color this red. Excuse me, we're gonna color this blue. Blue for bullish. Move this a little bit up. You're right there. Perfect. Now we're going to label this as well. Weekly fair value gap 50% mark is a very, very important key level. Make sure you set your alerts on this one. Remember, it's 2019.62, or you can round it off to 2120. That's on the weekly. Let's go down to daily. Looks like we have a nice little retracement here. So we are sitting on top of a fair value gap here. Been tapped into 1, 2, 3 times. So I'm not expecting this to hold at all. I'm expecting this to retrace into this area here. This line here is the weekly. This is the daily. So on the daily time frame, it might tap into this. There's a wick into it. And on the weekly, all this is going to be a wick anyways. But on the daily, it'll probably tap into here and then retrace, continuation to the top. And the same thing with like the lower time frames. In lower time frames, you're going to see a wick because we're expecting this just to wick into it on the weekly and then continuation to the upside. So keep in mind this daily fair value gap as well. This one's on 2099, so you can round that off to 2100. And you also have this other 4-hour time zone. Point of interest, fair value gap. This is at 2070.41. honestly, like the best entries are going to be that weekly, that daily, and then this 4 hour. Let's check out to see like if we see any more 4 hours. Yeah, this daily overlaps with this 4 hour. And then we have some price action up here. Yeah, basically the weekly, the daily, and the 4 hour fair value gap, those are the only 3 points of interest that we're looking at right now. Those are the closest ones. The weekly is the strongest. The daily looks like it's gonna just tap into that area, and then continuation to the upside with the weekly fair value gap. This is kind of short and simple, but if you go into the weekly time frame, it's a very clear picture for you guys. So basically, you're gonna expect this, the perfect world, come down into daily as a wick. You might even wick into the 4 hour, because remember, on the weekly it just has the wick, but on the daily it's going to show like a massive candle, or it'll just show a wick, and then continuation is what we're expecting. Does anybody have any questions for me in regards to gold? This is a little bit short and simple because it's going with the trend. We're looking at bullish fair value gaps, and then they're very strong. You have a weekly, a daily that are very, very strong as fair value gaps. And then you also have a 4 hour that's right below the daily. So it might use the 4 hours just as a tap into it as a wick. But for the most part, we're still rallying pretty much. And we're pretty much bullish until we're not, right? Until we get confirmation that we're no longer bullish, we're still looking for bullish positions. Let's head over to Euro USD. On the weekly, still on the weekly. Oh, let me clean up these charts. Give me 1 second, guys. I don't want to confuse that, yo. I don't really open these charts until I get on the lives with you guys. So for me, like, because I don't really like that scripted stuff, I go through these lives with you guys literally live. It's not like I go through these charts. So sometimes I might have some stuff on the charts that I have to clean up. And that's because I want to keep it as real as possible, right? I'm not going to go ahead of the time, clean up the charts, and then get on it and talk to you guys, because that's not a real live. That's scripted, that's fake, like that's not what we're about. So let's go over this. I'm going to remove these like take profits. What are we seeing right now? We're seeing like lower market structures forming. And by lower, I mean like lower highs forming on the market structures. We do see higher lows, but we're seeing lower highs, right? So here's a higher high, and then that's a lower high, and then another lower high. So what are we looking for? What are we really looking for? We're looking for a ranging market. That's what we're in right now. This shit's a ranging market. And that's on the weekly. I usually color my ranging markets like yellow. And they're a bit hard to trade. You could trade these on like the lower time frames. I see you guys having great success with Euro USD in the lower time frames. But just know that right now, it's like ranging. Even though it's forming like lower highs, it's still kind of ranging. So we're gonna save that as yellow. So that way I know that, hey, I'm ranging right now. But also took into account that price action broke through this July daily fair value gap 50% mark and this July weekly fair value gap as well. These are both July 2023, last year. It broke through that first. Then it came and tested that area again, but as a wick. It couldn't clear it anymore. Then price action, which is where it's at right now, didn't get anywhere near this. So it's losing momentum. Take that into account. Take into account that it's not as strong on the bullish side as it was previously. Now let's go down to the daily time frame. What do we see on the daily time frame? The daily time frame, we do see a bearish fair value gap. We see over here on the left, if you're looking left, this bearish fair value gap got tapped into, respected completely, moved. Beautiful 2-to-1, 3-to-1 risk to reward. Because remember, like I said, you're looking for the fair value gap 50% mark, and then you're also basing your stop loss on the previous candle. So not the candle with the fair value gap, but the previous lowest or highest point. Then you're targeting 2 to 1. This one looks like an easy 3 to 1 versus reward. So here would have been 2 to 1. And then here's the lowest point that I got to. But I would have targeted all the way here, which is this point here. That's where I would have targeted for the full take profit. And then that looks like 3.18, which is great. Yeah. This area here, you're not really targeting anything. And then in like a real condition, like no one's really targeting like this gap here. No one can guess that that's where price action was going to stop. That's just straight up bullshit. And anybody tries to do that with you. I'm targeting like the lowest point of liquidity, which is here. And if anything, it would have been like the bottom of this fair value gap, which is right here, which looks like it's right over here as well. But the safest bet would have been here, because that's where price action touched. That's a little bit of liquidity. That's where I would have been comfortable setting my full take profit at. If not, right at the bottom of these candle bodies. And that still would have been like almost 3 to 1. It would have been like 2.8. So always look left when you're looking for take profits, right? So for now, we're gonna actually mark this out. We do have 2 other fair value gap 50% marks over here. These are the 4 hour. But remember, we have to do a retracement, tap into some of these, and then continuation to the upside. This is a daily, so this one has a lot more power, a lot more weight to it than the 4 hour zones. I'm gonna do that. We're gonna move it a little bit to the right. We're gonna label it as well. Daily fair value gap 50% mark. Let's lock it. Lock it. Pop it. Pull it. Let's set an alert. Right? If you're using the ACAP Markets broker, you're looking at 1.09098. And then with the way the price action is, I'm looking for shorts. That's pretty much it for the nearest price action on the daily. Let's go down on the 4 hour. 4 hour daily and 4 hour overlap over here. So let's mark it as such. 4 hour and daily fair value gap. You also have a 4 hour bullish fair value gap down here. That's looking like 1.08625. Then you have another 4 hour fair value gap down here as well. That's looking like 1.08283. Then I think I have another one. Oh yeah, I do have another one right here. 1.07819. All 3 of those are bullish fair value gaps. And then if we go back to the higher time frame, yeah, it's still ranging. So it's like you can expect it to be bouncing back and forth between those fair value gaps for a while. But yeah, those are the points of interest we've identified. We've identified the weekly, which is ranging market. We've identified the daily and the 4 hour. We marked those zones. We do have an overlap here on the daily bearish one. That's a 4 hour and a daily. Everything else is 4 hour fair value gaps, but they're bullish. This is the only one that's bearish right now, which is the closest price action. And then that one has an overlap between 2 higher time frames. So basically, I'm looking for shorts there, take profits into these fair value gaps over here, and then expecting price action to play out in this fair value gap here as an entry on a lower time frame, and then continuation to the upside. Or it could just die out completely, take out the sell side liquidity, and just keep dumping past this daily 4 hour fair value gap, which is 1.05960. If this doesn't hold, then it's just gonna dump. It's just gonna break right through it. You guys have any questions for me when it comes to EU? Or any questions in regards to trading whatsoever? Today's live is going to be a little bit shorter than the others due to the fact that I don't really have my trading set up and I kind of have like a really bad cold thanks to London. Do you guys have any questions for me before we call it a night? We went over NAS, we went over gold, we went over EU. All right, seeing as there's no more questions for me tonight, thank you very much everyone for joining me live from Barcelona. This was tonight's live, March 17th, 2024. And yeah, we'll be here same time, same place next week. Except I'll be streaming from a different location here in Europe. Find out next Sunday. And yeah, guys, have a great, profitable trading week. Thank you very much for joining me. And goodbye for now.